Well, welcome to 150 Degrees East, a channel devoted to naval history from the perspective of the longitude 150 degrees east. The reason I started this channel is that I've been enjoying a number of British and American-based channels covering naval history, but I found that as each of them stretched to the longitude of 150 degrees east and beyond, their perspectives weakened. The British typically come at it from the west and at times discuss events as if the world didn't extend much beyond 150 degrees east, while the Americans would rarely integrate what was going on for the US end with events in Southeast Asia and the Indian Ocean. This is particularly relevant for the Second World War, which was focused in the region to the north of Australia and involved events that were taking place in the Pacific Ocean, Indian Ocean, and in Asian littoral waters that all affected each other. I've also found that there is a general aversion to discussing anything that happened under General MacArthur's command, on the basis that his agenda in World War II was of lesser importance and a general dislike for the person. Well, whatever you think about the man, I don't think that should affect our appreciation of those who served under his command, and I would like to incorporate their service into the overall picture. Initially, I'm going to bound the channel to cover the time period 1850 to the present, not including current affairs. Starting at 1850, we'll pick up the establishment of the Australia Station of the Royal Navy, the French Navy's presence in New Caledonia, and provides important context for the events of the 20th century. Geographically, I will cover events that take place in the Indian Ocean and Pacific Oceans and the waters in between, but with a particular focus on how those events affect East Asia. So I won't get too much into the naval battles of South America unless they have a significant effect on the Asian theatre, and similarly with events on the African coast and African internal waters. Some events in those extremes will be relevant, but most won't be. Beyond Sri Lanka and Tahiti, my vision will begin to dim, although I may make exception for both Gulf Wars. North-south, there will be no such restrictions. I expect that the Royal Navy, the Royal Australian Navy, the United States Navy, and the Imperial Japanese Navy will dominate the channel, with supporting roles by the French, the Dutch, the Russian, and the Chinese navies, inasmuch as they operated in the channel's area of interest. And my apologies that those flags of those nations didn't represent the ensigns, but that's quite difficult given the period that channel covers as to which ensign you might have picked up. Anyway, why 150 degrees east? It's not because of any particular naval significance, but because I've lived and worked in a number of places on the eastern seaboard of Australia. As a result, I am familiar with the naval histories of Sydney and Melbourne, General MacArthur's headquarters in Brisbane, and the Australian War Memorial in Canberra. Not that I will just be focusing on the Australian theatre, but 150 degrees east gives you an appreciation of my perspective. Well, if that sounds interesting to you, please leave a comment or like or even subscribe so I can get a sense of whether there's an interest in this perspective being added to naval history on YouTube.